All right, guys, I wanted to go ahead and make this video because I can't be with you today. So in order to go over classification, the very first thing we need to establish is why do we need to classify things? What is the whole point about it? And so to do that, I want to present you with this scenario. Let's say that you're stranded in the middle of the jungle and you have no idea what you're going to do. You have no idea what to eat, and all of a sudden you come across this set of berries. You're super hungry and you're exceptionally desperate to get some sort of nutrition in your body after you've been stranded for days. You come across these berries, they look delicious, they look great. Do you eat them? I don't know. These are actually holly berries. So if you were to eat these, you would die. These are poisonous. These are holly berries. These are poisonous. And so it would not end well for you. So the whole point behind that is that as we start to classify things, we start to become more aware of them, and we start to get to the point where we can identify how we can use these things. Can we use them? Are they beneficial? Anything like that. The more we understand about organisms, the more we understand about different things, the better we are to survive in the world that we live. And so when we start to classify things, we go in a series of orders of classification, just like we had with our levels of organization, where you talked about cell, organ, or cell, tissue, organ system, organism. Now when we classify those organisms, we put them into categories. The very largest category that we're going to talk about is domain. Okay, and when you think about domain, I want you to think about all living organisms, and then we separate those living organisms into a domain. And so we're looking here at the first domain, and that domain is the domain eukarya. And so all the living organisms that are eukaryotic go into the classification of eukarya. Now, if we take that a little bit step further, you guys may remember this picture on the left from the bacterial swab lab, where we first started to talk about, okay, why are we doing this lab right now? Well, we're doing it because we're introducing this idea of classification. And so the next level down is this level of kingdoms. So we take all the living things and we split them into domains. And then we take those domains and we split them into kingdoms. And there are 6 kingdoms here. We've got animals, plants, fungi, protists, eubacteria, and archaebacteria as our 6 kingdoms. Now, for the example that we're using here, we're actually going to follow this American black bear throughout its levels of classification. So we know that it's in the domain eukarya. As we get down into the kingdoms, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring it into the kingdom Animalia. Okay, so all of the animals belong in the kingdom Animalia. If we were looking at maybe this flower down here, that would have gone in the plant kingdom. If we were looking at this mushroom, that would have gone in the fungus. If we were looking at this protist, that would have gone in the protista, the protist kingdom. So they go off into their different branches. The black bear continues into the kingdom Animalia. If we go one step further, this is another level down. We're classifying all of those animals into a different phylum. So now we go into the phylum Chordata, which the first part of that is cord, which sounds like spinal cord. So all the animals that have a spinal cord go into this category. Notice the things that are gone. Sea sponges, they went a different direction. Sea stars, they went a different direction. They don't have spinal cords, so therefore they're in a different phylum, whereas in this particular phylum, the black bear, all the different varieties of bears, all the way down to the fish, birds, they're all in the phylum Chordata because they have these spinal cords. If we continue to go, the next level is class, and I want you to take a look at the class. This is all of the mammals. Okay, so we know some of the other ones. It could have been reptiles, it could have been birds, it could have been amphibians. Okay, this is mammals. So we took all of those in the phylum Chordata and we separated out the mammals. Obviously, the black bear is going to be in the category of mammals. Things that left would have been the frog. That would have obviously gone with the amphibians. The bird, that would have gone. The turtle, that would have gone with the reptiles. The fish, they would have gone with the fish. So you guys can see how we're separating these out. Going further, now we've made it into the order Carnivora, which should sound familiar to you because we're talking about carnivores. So look at the things now that we have in that same order. Things that eat meat, things that are carnivores. We know that a dolphin and a zebra are not going to be in that category. They're going to go different ways because they may eat all plants, which would make them herbivores. They would be in the order herbivora, or they could be omnivores, meaning they eat both meat and plants, right? So these are just the carnivores. We go one step further. We're getting down into a family. So this is the family Ursidae. This is the bear family. So we see what's gone. We see that the wolf is gone. We see that the maybe a jaguar is gone. So we know that those split off into the dog and the cat family. And here we have the bear family. We go a little bit further. Okay, we go to the genus Ursus, so a little bit further down. The only difference here, guys, is we had the bear family. Now these are bears that can stand up on their back legs. So we took all the bears and we classified them a little bit further, and we got bears that can stand up versus bears that can't stand up. And then we went a little bit further into the individual species, which is the American black bear. So we took the polar bear, the grizzly bear, they're out, they become their own species, but the black bear becomes its own species based on its characteristics. So you guys can see how we went from a lot of different organisms with the domain Eukarya into significantly smaller groupings down here. All right, now this is the last thing. This is dichotomous keys. This is a very simple thing to do, actually. All you have to do is start at number 1 and then just follow the directions. So it says here, we're going to look at this first picture up here. A dichotomous key can help you identify organisms. So if we look at this organism right here, we're going to start with number 1. So these dichotomous keys are a series of directions for you to follow to help you identify what this thing is. So we look at number 1. It says this mammal flies, its hand forms a wing, or this mammal does not fly, its hand does not form a wing. So we look at our animal and we say, does that fly? And the answer to that is no. Its hand does not form a wing. So we look here at B and we follow this over here. It says go to step 2. So I go down here to step 2. This mammal has no hair on its tail, or this mammal has hair on its tail. So we see this mammal does have hair on its tail. So therefore this mammal has hair on its tail. So we go to step 4. Notice here's step 3. We're going to skip it because it told us to go to step 4. So we go down here. This mammal has a black mask across its face, or this mammal does not have a black mask across its face. It does not have a black mask across its face. It is not something that looks like this. It's not masked at all. So instead, we're going to go to step 6. So here's 5. We're going to skip that one. This mammal is brown and has a white underbelly, or this mammal is not brown and does not have a white underbelly. This one is definitely brown and has a white underbelly, so therefore we go to 7. This mammal has long furry tail with a black tip. That's very clearly the one that we see here, so therefore we know that this organism up here is a long-tailed weasel, okay? You guys can easily do this just by taking your time and following the directions on this. Hopefully this was helpful after you went ahead and did that document. If you have more questions, tomorrow you're going to try more dichotomous keys. Come back and rewatch this video and go through some things if you're still confused. Send me an email if you guys need any help whatsoever. Let me know.